Hello.
Welcome to the Listenercast.
It's us.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Ryan.
And this is Listenercast.
And just by listening,
you too are a listener.
On the Listenercast.
I love that we have like a bit now.
Huh?
I love that we have like a bit now.
Yeah.
We have like an actual intro.
Yeah, when we remember to do it.
Yeah. If we remember. Good for us.
Good. Yes. Good for us. We're so smart.
We are. Last week we talked about Dawnshard.
Woo!
So today we are starting part 1 of Rhythm of War. This is the last book before Wind and Truth, Ryan.
This is the last book before Wind and Truth, Whitney.
We are so close.
Yes, we are.
Like 50-something days, I think. 40,
No,
or from right now.
From right now?
Yeah.
It's less.
It's less. 40-something days?
Something like that.
Yeah.
We have all of November because we leave December 2nd.
I thought we left on the 3rd. We'll be in Utah.
We will be in Utah
At some point.
that week.
Yes. And the book comes out that week. I see Ryan logging into his Delta account to check
Most
our flights.
definitely.
He's like, oh God. Yeah, that was like
we
the
leave
3rd
on December 3rd.
I was right. I was right.
It's 35 days.
35 days till we leave?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep.
What? No.
35 days until check-in.
Oh, till check-in. So 36 days till we leave.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know, I'm going to Miami like 2 weeks before we go to Utah.
You told me that.
I'm going to be in such a weird... My body temperatures are not going to be regulated.
No.
I'm literally going to Miami for like a work thing for a week.
Yeah.
I'm back for Thanksgiving. And then the week after is when we go to Dragonsteel. And it's going to be so cold in Utah.
That's so messed up.
So I'm going South Beach and then I'm going freezing.
Yep. I know. Jenna's already texted me. I'll pull up the thing. Let's see. Exactly what it was. It was what to expect. Number distribution will begin Wednesday, December 4th at 10 p.m. at the South Temple entrance to the Salt Palace, located next to the Radisson Hotel. Per city restrictions, do not begin lining up earlier than 4 a.m. MST Wednesday morning. Any lines that form before this time are not condoned by Dragonsteel.
We already have a copy though, don't we? Since
yes, but these are numbered copies.
Oh yeah. Wait, because I think I bought one with my ticket. Like I think that was like a bundle that I bought.
You can buy like the signed copy and everything, but I don't think they're numbered.
Do you want a numbered copy? Are we gonna go sit out in the cold at 4 a.m.?
Here's the thing, that line's gonna start before 4 a.m.
Oh, absolutely. It was overnight last time.
I texted Jenna and said, "Dog, I don't know if I can do that." And she said, "Strength before weakness."
She's kind of real for that.
Dog, she did it last year.
I know, I remember. And she almost like froze to death, didn't she? Like someone had to give her hot hands.
Well, yeah, somebody gave her hot hands, but she didn't like freeze to death. There were plenty of people around there and everything. People brought snacks and whatnot. It's all going to depend on what happens because we get out there Tuesday.
What day does it start? Wednesday?
3rd. Yeah. So
it starts on Wednesday? Or
yeah,
Thursday?
Number distribution will begin on December 4th at 10 p.m. You're not allowed to start lining up officially until 4 a.m. that day. I'm not spending my entire Wednesday in line.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'd rather go have fun.
10 p.m.
to 4 a.m.?
To 4 a.m.? Like, no, 4 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
People are going to do it, and that's completely like their bag.
That's not going to be me.
That's not my bag.
No, it's not me either.
Yeah.
We will be having a fun time seeing the sights of Salt Lake City.
I do want to like go and actually tour some temples
yes, because Temple Square was closed last year.
Yeah, they were it was like under construction and everything.
Yeah, I would actually really like to do that this year as well.
Maybe we can convince Court to go
maybe you might want to go.
Yeah, we'll get like a little group and be like, we're going to go look at some temples and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
it'd be fun, be interesting.
Yeah, I've never been in a temple, so
I've never been in a Mormon temple.
Yeah, I don't think I've been in a temple, period.
Oh.
I've been in like churches, but not like a temple.
I think it was a temple. I don't know what they call them. I've been in a...
What religion? What? Do you remember?
Yes.
What religion was it? It's okay if it's not a temple, but like...
Hindu.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a temple.
I don't know enough about Hinduism.
There's a big one here in Atlanta
There
that I
is.
went to
Yeah.
on a
Field
school trip.
Yeah. I was
really, really cool.
Yeah, I was in a religious studies class and we were supposed to do that, but I think that was the semester I dropped out.
Ah.
So, anywho.
Any housekeeping?
Any housekeeping? I don't think so. I think you guys are just going to start hearing a lot more Dragonsteel talk as we get closer to.
Yeah. I'm assuming nobody that's listening or watching is going.
Why would you assume that?
Well, because I think we've asked. I don't remember seeing any.
Some people don't like to leave comments.
Some people don't like to leave comments, and that's totally fine. But I'll just put it out there. If you are going, let us know. We can meet up and hang out.
We can hang out.
Or just say hi. We don't have to hang out if that's too much for you.
We need to order ribbons.
We do need to order ribbons. We're going to have ribbons for Dragonsteel.
We will.
Yeah.
I don't know why I shook my hand like no, but.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do this Rhythm of War thing.
Let's do this dang old Rhythm of War thing.
Let's do it. You're going to be fresher minded than I am.
Maybe.
All right. Prologue.
To
pretend.
Navani's perspective, and we learned Gavilar was a real jerk.
Yeah.
That's all I have for that.
Summary. I have a lot of notes. Jeez.
Yeah?
Oh my God.
Well, speak on them then. Come on.
I have 4 tabs. Let's see what I was on. Let's see what I was going through. That one doesn't seem important. Okay. He froze and then looked back in a low, quiet voice. Yasna will marry Amaram, as I have instructed her. She will put aside this fancy of becoming famous by denying the church. Her arrogance stains the reputation of the entire family. Navani stepped forward and let her voice grow cold as his. You realize that girl still loves you, Gavilar. They all do. Elhokar, Dalinar, the boys, they worship you. Are you sure you want to reveal to them what you truly are? They are your legacy. Treat them with care. They will define how you are truly remembered. And he says, greatness will define me, Navani. No mediocre effort by someone like Dalinar or my son could undermine that. And I personally doubt Elhokar could even rise to mediocre. He's so mean.
He is.
He's so nasty. And it's like, she's literally being like, your kids love you. And like, your family loves you.
Yeah.
And you don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with her being like, Yasna doesn't want to marry Amaram.
Yeah.
Because Amaram's also a prick.
Yeah. He's a real jerk.
He's a real jerk. He also says to her, because he won't involve her.
Yeah.
And she was like, you should try. It would be refreshing. And he says, you aren't worthy, Navani. You claim to be a scholar, but where are your discoveries? You study light, but you are its opposite, a thing that destroys light. You spend your time wallowing in the muck of the kitchens and obsessing about whether or not some insignificant light eyes recognizes the right lines on a map. These are not actions of greatness. You are no scholar. You merely like being near them. You are no artifabrian. You are merely a woman who likes trinkets. You have no fame, accomplishment, or capacity of your own. Everything distinctive about you came from someone else. You have no power. You merely like to marry men who have it.
I hate Gavilar.
Me too, man.
Hate Gavilar.
Because what do you mean?
Yeah.
That she's not a scholar? Like, even though
literally just, again, as we'll see later on in this book, fueling the fire, and we've seen in previous, in Oathbringer, just fueling that fire of Navani's imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she is amazing, and Gavilar just consistently put her down.
Yes.
And then the last thing that I have marked here, once that he leaves the room, is that she began painting, taking care with each calligraphic line, pride, as if proof to him compelled her to be meticulous and perfect. The act usually soothed her the way that neat, orderly lines became words, the way paint and paper transformed into meaning. In the end, she had one of the finest glyph boards she'd ever created. It read simply, death, gift, death. She'd drawn each glyph in the shape of Gavilar's tower or sword heraldry. So she wished for him to die.
Yep. A little bit.
And then he did. So don't let anyone ever tell you manifestation's not real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we know what was actually going on, but very unfortunate timing for that woman to do that.
Oh, yeah. And you see that she feels bad about that and everything because she literally thinks like, oh my God, did I bring this upon?
She's like, I killed him.
Yeah. So I have some things marked here. It's when Navani is coming and looking for Gavilar.
Speak on it.
It's when she sees two men. The king was speaking with two men that Navani vaguely recognized, a tall Makabaki man with a birthmark on his cheek and a shorter Voran man with a round face and a small nose. They'd been called ambassadors from the west, but no kingdom had been given for their home. Later on the next page, no, the Makabaki man said, his voice sharp, I doubt we shall. There's more here, Nail, the Voran man said, though he followed as his friend left. This is important. I want out. This is the only way. So Gavilar was talking to some heralds, it seems.
Yeah, just some heralds or
just
whatever.
Some heralds, not even just like a herald we know.
Yeah, Skybreaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking to Nail and talking to presumably another herald, just hanging out.
It's the Sons of Honor or whatever.
It's the Sons of Honor or whatever. I don't know, Whitney. It seems kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird, Ryan.
But yeah. And then she's also no, that comes out later. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
I was going to bring up that the
Void Light Sphere.
Yeah, the Void Light Sphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk on that later.
Yeah, it comes up again.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead and move into part 1. Burdens. Kaladin, Shallan, Navani, Venli, and Liren.
Chapter 1.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to read it. Calluses.
Liren, assisting the wounded, is trying to help a refugee general by linking him up with Kaladin. There's a disruption when a new fuse comes to the village in search of Kaladin himself. And he is revealed to be hiding amongst the wounded.
Yeah. I don't have any notes in particular.
I don't necessarily either. I do like this Liren perspective though.
I do too.
Just because it's something different.
Yeah.
And this general that they're trying to get, they name him, right? The Mink?
The Mink,
yeah. The Mink. Yeah, here it is. Deanno.
He's Herdazian?
He is.
Right?
He's Herdazian. He's the Herdazian general that we saw previously in Oathbringer, where he has a prisoner and he's like, yeah, I'll give you 3 options. And one of them is to fight the hog. And it wasn't actually a pig.
Yeah. That was him? That was the Mink?
Yeah, that was the Mink. If it wasn't, correct me, but that was the Mink.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if I don't think I ever made that connection.
Mm-hmm. Well, because the whole thing with the Mink, as you'll see, is he can just escape chains and is an escape artist and everything. And the whole thing with the guy fighting the hog is he just has to escape his chains. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. And the Mink is a slimy little dude.
He's not slimy. Not slimy. What do you mean?
Slimy in the way that he gets out of there's a better word. He's able to get out of chains and he's very sneaky, but there's there's a word I'm thinking of.
He's a rascal.
No, it's a word like slimy.
Okay.
But it's not the word slimy. I don't know.
Sneaky?
No. It would insinuate that someone is slippery.
Oh, okay.
He's a slippery little guy.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I meant. Thank you. We got there in the end.
Yeah. Also, the whole thing with at the very end,
Yeah, where they are like,
where it's nearby, one of the few soldiers threw back the hood of another cloaked refugee, revealing a face that should have been intimately familiar to Liren. Yet the harsh man Kaladin had looked like a crude drawing of a sensitive youth Liren remembered. Kaladin immediately burst alight with power. Death had come to visit Hearthstone today, despite Liren's every effort.
yep.
It's interesting to me that that's the phrase used. Death came to Hearthstone, and Liren is kind of... it's not really him speaking about his son, but that's the phrase used during Liren's perspective and whatnot.
Right.
I think kind of really emphasizing again his appall to Kaladin's like occupation of being a soldier and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, just something I just wanted to touch on and everything.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot.
Yeah, because we have had a lot of back and forth between Liren and Kaladin, but this book will get like a lot more.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Chapter 2.
Did you realize Navani's referred to as the mother of machines on the back of this book?
Is she?
Yep.
Where?
On the
The
back.
broken sister and the mother of machines.
Yeah, I just saw it on the back of your book and I was like, huh?
The one who is 3, the fallen soldier, the broken sister, and the mother of machines.
She's referred to as the mother of machines in Dawnshard, which was the last episode. So
Yeah. Do you know what that's reminiscent of? And I want to know, when that phrase mother of machine came up, if Brandon thought of Elish Norn from Magic the Gathering.
Probably. I don't know anything about Magic, but I mean, that's his favorite game, so probably.
Yeah, like that's just a character who is called a very similar thing. And she's so awesome and cool, but also really evil. So yeah.
All right. Chapter 2.
Severed Chords. Kaladin fights against a fuse that they've never experienced before. Shallan has been trying to infiltrate the remaining Sons of Honor, getting drugged and finally being kidnapped. Kaladin drives off the fused and reunites with his family. He attempts to meet the mink, but the man has snuck off. Soon, Navani comes with a giant floating ship to evacuate the town.
Yeah, I like that we have Shallan in like a she's trying to stage like a, I don't know. She's purposely trying to get kidnapped.
Yeah, and she's frustrated that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, there's literally like a bit where she's like, I've spent a month wearing a fake face, like making exactly the right comments to exactly the right people. Still no kidnapping. She hadn't even been mugged. What was the world coming to? And Radiant says, I could punch us in the face if it would make you feel better. But yeah, so there's just an interesting little thing, and then of course she does get kidnapped finally. And
we're finally like to the point now, because we saw it just a little bit at the very end of Oathbringer. Shallan is like, officially, these are 3 different solid personas.
Yeah, like this is it.
Yeah, because like it's not even Shallan, it's Vale. Vale is frustrated.
Yes, exactly. So they finally are like their own separate entities, pretty much.
Yeah, which I love.
Right. We pushed through her going a little nutso, and to now where she has these 3 different
she's
personas.
Like found this balance and everything.
Yeah.
Very neat.
Pretty good.
I have something marked here. Just we start getting some good like fused and ancient singer lore in this book.
God, yeah, the way that this fuse fights is like really freaky to me.
Oh yeah, you're
Like
talking about the pursuer.
Yeah, like being able to just like appear, like he's teleporting essentially.
Yeah,
and that is just, oh my God, that freaks me out. Because like if I like Ryan, if you were standing in my kitchen and then I was right here, and then all of a sudden I was standing in front of you, would that not freak you out?
It would. Yeah, that's actually my number one superpower.
Would be teleportation?
Yes.
I can get behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Number one would be like, I don't know. I would love to live forever.
Really?
Yeah.
I do not feel similarly.
That'd be like my number one. Like just like longevity and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But like teleportation, that's probably like if we're just talking about like traditional superpowers, that's like Nightcrawler is really cool to me. I really like Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Bamfing.
I don't know. I don't think I ever want to live forever because like you would have to outlive so many people that you love and you would just experience heartbreak over and over and over.
Yeah, but also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Pursuer really is one that freaks me out.
Mm-hmm. I have marked here, well, kind of talking about this. We learn about the Heavenly Ones.
Mm-hmm. Speak on it.
Over the last year, new varieties of fuse have been appearing on the battlefields in a trickle. Kaladin was most familiar with the ones who could fly like windrunners. Those were called the Shanaim. They learned it roughly meant those ones of the heavens. Other fuse could not fly, as with the Radiants. Each type had their own set of powers. Yasna posited there would be 10 varieties, though Dalinar, offering no explanation of why he knew this, said there would only be 9. So yeah, just these heavenly ones and everything. And I think, as we'll see, they have their own traditions and everything, where you can literally ask them to a duel and whatnot, and they'll just do it.
Yeah.
So Kaladin's been kind of using that as an advantage.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I really got.
Yeah. I do like when we find out Kaladin says so, or Kaladin's mom says, so, how is Lynn?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Syl's like, she broke up with him.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time we see Kaladin has actually gotten romantically involved with someone.
Yes.
And then it didn't go well, obviously.
No, it did not.
But I just think it's funny. His mom's like, so how's your girlfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Like, makes me giggle.
And I like that it's a character that we've met before.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
She was the first lady windrunner.
Yes.
So love that. A girl boss, if you will.
A girl boss, yes.
Kaladin likes the girl bosses.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have any other notes for that chapter.
Yeah, I don't either.
There's like a lot that happens. But I do love the illustration of the 4th bridge that we get.
Yeah.
And I love in particular, and I think we'll probably touch on this in the next chapter.
Yeah.
Is that bridge 4 is in the ship.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yep.
All right. So chapter 3.
The 4th bridge.
They get the people of Hearthstone aboard. Navani and Dalinar have been trying to figure out the secret of the sibling and the tower itself. The Mink shows up and he is hesitant around Dalinar. Fused are on the move and Dalinar opens up his perpendicularity.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We can see Dalinar just like consistently just
using that power now.
Yeah.
Because it was such like a major turning point of the battle at the end of Oathbringer now. And here he is, like he has actively learned how to use it, I guess, better and everything.
Yeah. And to also just be like casually opening up several realms.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
It is.
The thing I actually marked, and it's exactly what I just talked about, so I will just read this passage. Deciding upon a name had taken her months of deliberation. In the end, however, she'd taken inspiration from the bridges that had inspired her. In specific, the one that had, so many months ago, rescued Dalinar and Adolin from certain death, something she had hoped this vessel would do for many others in similarly dire situations. And so, the world's first air transport had been named the 4th Bridge. With the permission of High Marshal Kaladin's old team, she embedded their old bridge in the center of the deck as a symbol. Which is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a moment actually above those where she's looking at it and she said, her ship, and she wished she could share it with Elhokar.
Yep.
Though most people remembered her son as only the man who had struggled to replace Gavilar as king, she had known him as the curious, inquisitive boy who had adored her drawings. He'd always enjoyed heights, how he would have loved the view from this deck.
Yep. You got exactly what I was going to talk
Oh,
about.
really?
No, that's okay. No, like I love it.
It's a sweet moment, and it's bittersweet, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Liren officially meets Dalinar and Avani on here.
Yes.
And she's kind of like, I don't see the resemblance at all.
Yeah.
And right here it says, however, as she stepped up beside Dalinar, she caught Liren's eyes, and the familial connection became more obvious. That same quiet intensity, that same faintly judgmental gaze that seemed to know too much about you. In that moment, she saw two men, the same soul, for all their physical differences. Yeah.
Yeah.
And right after that, Dalinar calls him Liren Stormblessed. It is my honor, Stormblessed. It's like, I assumed you would take your son's house name.
And he's like,
Yeah.
obviously he didn't tell you.
No, he did not. And let's see. Liren glanced at his son, who evidently hadn't told him about his elevation, but he had said nothing more, and said, turning to give her airship a proper nod of respect. Yeah. I just like that Liren and Kaladin they're so similar.
Yes.
And that's why they don't get along.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, they are. Yeah.
Have you ever heard from your like one of your parents where it's just like, you're just like your father? Or you're just like your mother?
Yeah, my mom has always called me her mini-me our entire life.
Really?
And we are so similar. Like, if you met my mother, you would know in a heartbeat that she was my mom.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we look that similar, but we are both loud.
Oh, okay.
And we have the same laugh.
Uh-huh.
And you would just talk to her and like, because that's what even when I was working at a restaurant, my sister came in one night. And my sister and I really don't look that alike. I got all my mom's features. She got all my dad's features. So we don't even really look like siblings.
Yeah.
But my coworkers were like, you guys don't look alike at all, but you have the exact same mannerisms.
Oh, okay.
So, and like, even though we haven't even lived together in like probably like 8 years.
Oh, okay.
So it's just interesting how that, because I'm the same way with my mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the older I get, the more I see my dad. But in general, I am very similar to my mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they doing down there?
Yeah, I don't know. That just happens in the middle of the day. And I really, genuinely don't know what they're doing down there. Because honestly, like, one of them is in a wheelchair downstairs. Ooh. Yeah. So I don't know what all the slamming is.
Yeah. For all those wondering, the ground is shaking.
Yeah. I live on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
But like, our floors are super thin. So I genuinely, because like, I can hear them talking down there sometimes. And I'm sure they can probably hear me talking up here all the time. So I don't know what they're doing, but it's always the middle of the day and they're always like slamming stuff around. And I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. And I also like see because it's a couple. So I've seen the one girl like leave for work in the mornings, and then the one that's in a wheelchair, like, I think works from home.
Yeah.
And so I know she's just home all day. So I hear that stuff and I'm like, what are you doing down there? Like, what are you actually doing?
She's busy. She's got things to do.
And it's none of my business.
Yeah.
I respect it. She's very mobile.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
I don't have any other notes.
I'm trying to see. Oh, I just have marked down here where all the Windrunners do the same exact, like, honor of respect, like, to Bridge 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so nice because we got that moment last book where it was going to be like their final bridge run and everything. And now it's like the bridge is carrying them.
Yeah.
So
the symbolism. No, it is. It's very good.
Oh, yes. All right. You ready for chapter 4?
Yes. Architects of the Future.
Radiant wakes up and is being interrogated by the Sons of Honor. She hears that they have a spy close to Dalinar, and Shallan takes over and says that she is not who they think she is.
Yes.
Yes.
I actually have no notes. It's a pretty short chapter.
It is. I will bring up kind of the chapter headings, like.
I have one I want to talk about as well.
Okay.
I have it marked, but go ahead with this one.
Yeah, so this is what we're seeing is like excerpts from a book.
I think that Navani wrote, right?
Yes, that Navani wrote. A book, article, essay that she wrote about fabrials and whatnot. And she's been just describing the use of fabrials and how they're created and everything. And also like her little chapter insignia is a fabrial. Yeah, so just wanted to bring that up. I think it's really interesting and whatnot. This is I guess you could say this is the Navani book.
The Navani book.
This is the Navani book, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, I got something.
Yeah, go for it.
Vale gazed up with wonder and confusion, then shied back against the chasm wall, startling a Kremling with dark purple colorings. Now that might be a sleepless, but I also might be looking too deep into it.
Well, I mean, at the end of Dawn Shard,
there was a purple Kremling and everything. I feel like
she tried to bite me.
I don't know. I feel like when Kremlings are brought up from now on, I'm just going to be like, oh,
it's a sleepless.
What are you?
What are you?
Anyways, chapter 5.
Broken Spears.
Kaladin fights the Fused and eventually is once again fighting the Strange One. He is able to defeat him. Shallan, using light weavings, shows fake schematics, but is unable to convince them to see Ialai. They hear a commotion and realizes Adolin's team is on the way.
I have something marked right here, but I sometimes but when it's been a while since I've read these, I'm like, what did I mean? And I'm like, you should just write on the note what you mean.
Cooking?
Yeah, and then I never do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so whenever Kaladin's fighting, it says she saw him and smiled and held out her spear. Yes, this was Leshwi, a leader among the Fused, high enough that the others deferred to her, but not so high that she stayed behind during fights. A status similar to Kaladin's own, he held out his spear. So this is them dueling, but he wasn't sure if he would be able to recognize Leshwi since she had died prior, so she took another body. And so, yeah, I think I just wanted to point that out.
Another connection between him and Moash.
What?
Is Leshwi.
Oh, yes.
Because both have dueled Leshwi, both have killed Leshwi.
Yes. But yeah, I actually don't have any other notes besides that.
I don't really either. It was mostly about Leshwi.
Mostly about Leshwi, and then, of course, Vale's wrapped up in this kidnapping cult thing, the Sons of Honor that's going on. But we get more of the action part of it here in a second. So
yeah. We also get a great illustration of a Spren being trapped in a fabrial.
Yes. Which I still I mean, we've had it explained to us. Maybe it happens later in this book too, or later in this part. But how they're trapped and how, I don't know, Navani says oh, I've talked to types of Spren, and the Spren that get trapped are not
intelligent.
Yeah. Or they're conscious.
Not sapient.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then when I think about it, I'm that's kind of messed up, man. Because we do have so many sapient other Spren, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chapter 6.
A loose thread.
Shallan is led away and finds herself finally in front of Ialai. Kaladin, after saving Sigil, begins a duel against Leshwi. The two get at it, but decide to end in a draw when they see Fused attacking civilians. Navani with Rushu, who keeps getting distracted by a lone windrunner. However, Navani recognizes this is Moash.
Yeah, that's actually the only note I have in this chapter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Navani says, Rushu, do try to focus. She's like, well, I do try. I simply fail. Like that fellow over there, what's he doing? Not guarding the ship, not helping with the refugees. Shouldn't he be fighting? Navani's like, oh, he's probably a scout, and then follows her gaze to the edge of the ship toward the fertile stone fields. Obviously, Navani trailed off as she picked out the man in question standing atop a hill, distinctly separated from the battle. Navani could see why Rushu would think him a windrunner. He wore a uniform after the exact cut of Bridge 4. In fact, Rushu, who had paid attention to the oddest things but never seemed to notice important details, might have once seen this man in their ranks. He'd often been at Kaladin's side during the early months of Bridge 4's transition into Dalinar's army. That narrow face and lean figure would mark him as a man interdicted, a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
Moash, the man who had killed Navani's son.
I feel like you can just feel the venom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like way back from my mic.
No, you're good.
Yeah, well, because she knows that
he's
that's
the one.
the guy that killed my child.
Yeah.
I'd be bad too.
Oh, yeah. Not just betrayed, the human race, but also killed your son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killed your son, betrayed the human race, betrayed you almost in a way because, like, you were in Bridge 4 and everyone else in Bridge 4 has, like, sworn to protect Dalinar and protect those people. And you went behind all of that.
And attempted to kill. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It's not very cool, Moash. This Moash guy, he's not very cool. He's not a nice guy.
He's not cool. That's what I keep having these interactions online on, like, people that are getting into the Cosmere.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be posting about the Way of Kings and someone will be like, mention Moash in their comments. And I so hard have to just, like, be like,
Yeah. My friend Olivia. Hello, Olivia.
Oh, does she listen to the pod?
She's about to. She just finished The Way of Kings.
Slay.
Yeah, she's been texting me about it and everything. Immediately hates Sadeas.
Yeah, you sent me that text message that she sent you.
Immediately hates Sadeas.
Yeah.
And she was texting me about it and everything. But I'm so curious when, because we get more Moash. Like, he's in The Way of Kings, but you don't really, like, interact a lot with him until Words of Radiance.
Right.
So I'm waiting for her to be like, I'm
on to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any other notes?
Just the interaction between Kaladin and Leshwi. She looked at him, then nodded towards the fuse and the unfortunate people. He understood the gesture immediately. Go stop him.
Yeah.
Because they were dueling, and she literally, like, obviously does not condone killing civilians and everything, because from what we've seen from Leshwi and from the Heavenly Ones is that they're an honorable, like, side of the fuse and everything. I mean, hence why they, like, duel individually and whatnot. And I think that interaction really solidifies Leshwi.
Yeah.
Because I do like her, like, a lot as a character.
I do too, yeah.
Especially, like, when we see her later with Venli and everybody. But yeah, I just thought that was a very interesting interaction between the two.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like Moash he's going after, right?
No, it's the Pursuer.
Are you sure?
I thought it was the Pursuer.
Because it's right after we see Moash.
Yes.
Hold on. Let's see. Keeping his eye on Leshwi. Oh no, it is a Pursuer. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just because we had seen Moash, my brain was like, he's going after Moash. But then I was
like, he shows up later.
Yeah, but I was like, well, Moash is on his side, or like on Leshwi's side. So I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so my mistake there.
Chapter 7.
The rarest vintage.
Kaladin finds the Pursuer and other fused using using Godeki as a hostage. They use a strange fabrial to drain their stormlight. Kaladin, however, is that guy and is able to kill them all, even the pursuer, finally. Lift takes the strange fabrial to Navani. Shallan decides not to kill Ialai, but she dies anyway from poison.
Yeah. So you were talking earlier about the like pre-chapter things.
Yeah.
Not really a spoiler. I guess it is kind of Greater Cosmere in a way. For anyone, I'm sure most people that are listening to this, well, maybe not. Let me not make that assumption. If you haven't read Mistborn, the magic system in Mistborn is based on metals.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's really interesting that like she's here talking about like, here's the primary significance of zinc and brass, which allow you to control expression through strength. Zinc wires touching the gemstone, which will cause the spren inside to more strongly manifest, while brass will cause the spren to withdraw and its power to dim. Which, if I'm remembering correctly, and I could not be, it kind of lines up with how those metals work in Mistborn, with like what their effects are. I don't like I haven't read Mistborn in like a year, so I don't know. But I just think it's interesting that metals are still relevant across the Cosmere and they have different effects on things.
Yeah.
Like they do in Mistborn.
Right.
Yeah.
Zinc and brass.
I know, I see you thinking really hard over there. There is Mistborn like right there if you are that curious.
I'll look it up later. Like I
probably should have looked it up, but I was just like,
I was just trying to remember what they did in Mistborn.
Yeah. But regardless, I just still think it's cool that the like different types of metals have different effects on things.
Are they the soothing ones?
I don't know. They might be. I thought brass was one that like dulled things. So
Oh wait. We'll look it up later.
Yeah, we'll look it up later. But I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up as like a Greater Cosmere thing.
Yeah.
So. We also find out in this chapter that Ialai doesn't really want to be queen.
No.
Because that's like what the whole like, ooh, my mic ran away from me. Like what the Sons of Honor like are kind of seeing it as is like Ialai is our true queen. Like,
right.
You know, and she says right here, like, oh, I don't intend to be queen. And like Shallan's like, well, then who do you support for the throne? Surely not like the usurper Dalinar or the niece he's appointed unlawfully. And Ialai watched Vale, who slowly stood from the bow. In the past, Ialai said, I have supported the heir, Elhakar's son, Gavilar's grandson, the rightful king. He is a boy, not yet 6. Then urgent action must be taken to rescue him from the clutches of his aunt and great uncle, the rats who have deposed him. To support me is not to upset the lineage, but to work for a better, stable, and more correct Alethi union.
That is interesting that she's still supporting like the Elhakar's heir.
Yeah. Just because I think it is like in their society, that would be the correct thing is for, what is that kid's name?
Gavinor.
Yeah, for Gavinor to be like on the throne.
Yeah, because well, I guess it comes down to because Sadeas never like disliked Gavilar.
Yeah.
Well, as far as we know and everything.
Right.
He really just hated Dalinar.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
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 A little maybe still shocking. Just like, oh, you don't want to be queen?
Yeah. I mean, but at the same time, she's also saying like, you know, to support me is like not to upset the lineage.
Yes.
So it's like she doesn't want to be queen, but she was like, it would be correct for me because at least I'm coming from like an Alethi line.
Yes.
Like, you know. Alethi lineage, I mean to say. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any other big notes.
Yeah. Neither do I.
But Ialai dies here. She's poisoned.
She does die.
She's poisoned.
She's dead.
Yeah. And she gives Shallan a riddle about like the rarest.
You must find the finest vintage.
The rarest vintage.
The rarest vintage.
Yeah.
Who knows?
What the heck does that
What
mean?
the heck does that mean, Ialai?
Yeah, so. All right. Do you want to move on?
Yes. Also, I looked it up.
Oh, yeah. Did you?
Yes.
What was it? Was I right?
Brass is the one that soothes. Zinc is the one that riots. They're the emotional.
Yeah.
Which still makes sense.
No, but I mean, it makes sense in the context of what it was on that chapter.
Yeah.
Zinc wires the gemstone that will cause the spren inside to more strongly manifest, while brass will cause the spren to withdraw and its power to dim.
Yeah, literally rioting and soothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
there it is. Yeah.
I was onto something.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Anyway.
Family friendly.
Man, Whit, you cooked.
I cooked.
You cooked.
I cooked. Woo-hoo.
Wow. Okay. So now I want a bronze cage can create a warning fabric. Well, I don't know about.
Yeah. So I think it is just all going to be very similar to what the effects of like what the metals are in Mistborn.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't spoilers, right? That's not.
That's not a spoiler. That's just how the functions of that magic system work.
Yeah, that's not a spoiler. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on.
All right. Chapter 8.
Surrender.
Moash kills Rishon.
Sorry. I don't know.
And surrenders to Kaladin. He tells him that the pain won't go away unless he kills himself. They are interrupted by Renarin, who shows Moash what he could have been. Shallan, looking in Ialai's room, finds a notebook.
Sorry. I shouldn't have been laughing at any of that. None of that was funny. Yeah, the only thing I have marked is after he kills Rishon.
Yeah.
Kaladin says, "You bastard." Well, that's okay. Well, actually, let me read right before that. It says, Kaladin had failed Moash as soundly as he'd failed Dunny, Mart, and Jax. And of them all, losing Moash hurt the most, because in those callous eyes, Kaladin saw himself.
Mm-hmm.
You bastard, Kaladin hissed. You deny that I was justified? Moash kicked at Rishon's body. You know what he did. You know what he cost me. You killed Elhokar for that crime, Moash, because he deserved it, like this one did. Moash shook his head. I did this for you too, Cal. You would let your brother's soul cry into the storms unavenged? Don't you dare speak of Tien, Kaladin shouted. He felt himself slipping, losing control. It had happened whenever he thought of Moash, the king of King Elhokar dying, of failing the people of Kholinar and the men of the wall guard. You claim justice? Kaladin demanded, waving towards the corpses chained to the wall. What about Jebber and the other man? You killed them for justice? For mercy, Moash said. Better a quick death than to leave them to die forgotten. You could have set them free. Kaladin's hands were sweaty on his weapon, and his mind wouldn't think straight. His stormlight was running low. He was almost out. Oh, I hate Moash.
Oh, I hate him. Oh, I hate him.
I want to grab him and just shake him and kill him.
Mm-hmm.
I hate him.
Yeah. Is this the first time they've No.
He watched him kill Elhokar, but I think this is the first time they've like talked. Yeah, since then.
Wow. And what a like shocking thing to do, because he does just surrender.
Yeah. Because he knows he's wrong.
I don't think he does. I think he just knows Kaladin won't try and kill him if he surrenders.
Yeah. I don't know. I just hate him.
And he tries to like get him on his side, right? Like, he can take away your pain, Kaladin.
Yeah, he does.
What Renarin does in showing Moash what he could be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That rules.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to like find it. Light exploded into the room, clean and white, like the light of a brightest diamond, the light of the sun, a brilliant, concentrated purity. Moash growled, spinning around, shading his eyes against the source of the light, which came from the doorway. The figure behind it wasn't visible as anything more than a shadow. Moash shied away from the light, but a version of him, transparent and filmy, broke off and stepped toward the light instead, like an after image. In it, Kaladin saw the same Moash, but somehow standing taller, wearing a brilliant blue uniform. This one raised a hand, confident, and although Kaladin couldn't see them, he knew people gathered behind this Moash, protected, safe. The image of Moash burst to light as a shard spear formed in his hands. I really, really love that use of Renarin's powers because, number one, we are now seeing Renarin's use of illumination.
Yes.
Which we had never seen before. But it seems like Renarin has also used his power to see a possible future in which Moash
did the right thing.
Did the right thing. He did not fall under, like, he went the path that Kaladin did.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful and it's also heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it makes Moash is still probably one of my favorite characters to follow along with.
Yeah.
Because of his relationship with Kaladin.
Yeah. It's still just
Kaladin could have easily been Moash.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he almost was.
Yeah. It's really like looking at a version of what Kaladin's life could have been.
Yeah.
Were he not honorable.
I think, so without like saying too much, if Kaladin and Moash were reversed, I think this war would have been over already. I think the Fused would have won. I'm just keeping it so real with you. I'm keeping it a buck. Like, if Kaladin literally joined forces with the Fused,
the war would be over.
The war would be done, bro. Come on. Moash is not stepping up to Kaladin like that.
He's not. Yeah. No. Give
me a fan fiction about that. I'll read that in a heartbeat.
Someone write that version of the story.
Dude, come on.
All right. Are you ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Chapter 9, Contradictions. And this one's talking about Peter and the before thing here as well.
In the what? Huh? What in the what?
In the pre-chapter thing, it talks about Peter.
The pewter cage will cause the spren of your fabrial to express its attributes in force. Oh, which makes sense because pewter makes you strong.
Yeah. It's all connected.
It's all connected. It's right there, all in front of you. That's funny. I can't believe like I'd never really even put that together. That's awesome. Look at you.
And this guy's favorite series is Mistborn.
It's pee-pee. It's pee-pee and poo-poo.
Oh my god.
No, it's probably Stormlight. It's been so long since I read Mistborn.
Yeah.
No.
You were such a diehard Mistborn guy, though.
Oh yeah, Mistborn got me into fantasy.
Yeah.
So I have it very near and dear to my heart. But it's probably Stormlight at this point. Maybe because we're doing a deep dive reread right now.
We'll do it to Mistborn too.
And then we'll decide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chapter 9.
Contradictions.
Kaladin arrives back to the fourth bridge, where Syl tries to console him and Teft talks to him about Moash. Devani, on the way to the Shattered Plain, finds a span reed and gets a strange message. Galon shows Adolin the notebook, and they see some strange names in there.
Unrelated.
Okay.
You said Teft talks. And some Cosmere content creator needs to be out there doing that.
Teft talks?
Like TED Talks, but it's Teft Talks. Someone should be doing that. If you hear this, you have my blessing to take that and run with it.
Teft Talks instead of TED Talks. That's awesome.
Yeah. Because like I think it'd be funny. I could never be Teft, you know? Like I could not take this idea for myself. I don't even know where I would start. But there is someone more creative out there than me that heard that and they're like, oh, I could do that. Just give me credit. That's all. Just give me credit for the idea. That's all I ask.
Do just like a little sketch of a Teft talk.
Yeah.
It's somebody dressed up as Teft on a big old stage. They have the Teft X behind them and everything. Right?
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Make it Roshar
now look here, you little Kremlings.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the chapter. Let me see what notes I have in here.
Yeah.
Oh, We start to see Kaladin's like battle shock.
Yeah.
Kaladin still said, it's getting worse. This distance to your expression, this fatigue, it happens whenever you run out of stormlight. As if you can only keep going while it's in you. He squeezed his eyes shut. You freeze whenever you hear reports of the lost windrunners. When he heard of his soldiers dying, he always imagined running bridges again. He heard the screams, felt the arrows in the air. Please, she whispered, tell me what to do. I can't understand this about you, and I've tried so hard. I can't seem to make sense of how you feel or why you feel that way. And he says, if you ever do figure it out, explain it to me, will you? We're watching him go down again.
We are. And it seems to be like in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kaladin seemed tired before. Now he's just like...
It's a different type. It's like exhaustion.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I have a lot of notes in this one. My word.
Well, you can speak on it.
What was I on?
I don't... You're on Kaladin. Yeah. No. Speak on some stuff with... Trying to find something real quick.
I do have it noted right here.
Mm-hmm.
Soulcasters manifested a small, unresponsive spren, hovering with their eyes closed. So the Soulcasters did have a captured spren, a radiant spren, judging by their shape, intelligent rather than more animal-like spren captured to power normal fabrials. These spren were held captive in Shadesmar and made to power Soulcasters. Is this the same, perhaps, Navani thought, holding up the gemstone device Kaladin had discovered? There had to be a connection, and perhaps a connection to the tower, the secret to making it function. And they're talking about the thing that sucks away stormlight from people. In this particular instance, but this is kind of where we see how, like, she literally says, like, there's spren that are held captive in Shadesmar that are for powering Soulcasters specifically, and I just think that it's really interesting. And this is also when she's writing to an unknown source through the span read. And Navani says, I've spoken with intelligent spren, such as those bonded to the Radiance. They agree that the spren we use for our fabrials are not people, but are as unthinking as animals. They may not like it for the idea of what we do, but they do not think it monstrous. Even the honor spren accept it. The honor spren cannot be trusted, the pen wrote. Not anymore. You must stop creating this new kind of fabrial. I will make you stop. This is your warning. So, just some kind of background on the Soulcasters more there, but then also whatever this person messaging Navani is saying, don't trust the honor spren.
Yeah.
What?
They cannot be trusted.
Cannot be trusted. I need to get
You need to get
a little closer here because I've slouched. Did you find what you were looking for?
You actually talked about it.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Oopsies.
That's okay. That's fine.
Oopsies.
It's fine. I'll talk about something else.
Go for it.
It's when Shalon and Adolin are together. They're looking in this little notebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see. It seems to be Ialai's attempts to piece together what the Ghost Bloods are planning. Like this page, a list of terms or names her spies had heard. She was trying to define what they were. Shalon moved her finger down the page. Nalathus, Scadarial, Haldane.
Yeah.
You recognize any of those? They sound like nonsense to me. Nalathus might have something to do with Nalan, the Skybreaker Herald. Circled several times on one page at the end of the list was the word Thydakar, with the note, he leads them, but who is he? The name seems a title, much like Moray's, but neither are in a language I know.
So one of those things we can't speak on, but we know, we being me and you, that those are planets.
Misspelled.
Yes.
Yeah, but we find out later.
It's
It's Nalthus, Scadrial, and I think it's Haldane.
Haldane, yeah.
I think it's just Haldane, right?
So Scadrial's Mistborn.
Yeah. Nalthus is Warbreaker.
Warbreaker. And then what's the last one?
Haldane.
I don't remember.
Is that...
That's not Son That Man.
No, that's not
No.
Sunland Man.
Elantris?
Is it?
I don't know.
It sounds right.
I could be.
No, it doesn't.
I don't know.
It's Cell.
Yeah, Cell's the planet for Elantris. You're right.
Oh wait, is that White Sand?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Neither of us have read White Sand.
Correct us.
Yeah. Let us know.
Yeah.
We are happy to be corrected.
Yeah.
This is also where. Oh, I wish I hadn't removed my note because now I can't find it. I will just say, there's something else stirring within Shallan.
Oh yeah.
Formless. She refers to it as formless in this chapter.
Keeping secrets from Adolin was eating at her from the inside, fueling formless, pushing it toward a reality.
Yes. We thought it was over. It's not
Just
over.
when I thought I was out, they keep pulling me back in.
And exactly. That's what Shallan's doing to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Chapter 10?
A single casualty.
Wow. Kaladin gives his friend Yunfa an ultimatum to bond with R'lain. Arriving in Narak, Dalinar relieves Kaladin from duty. Obviously upset, Dalinar says that he will still be helping with the war effort. He gives him 10 days to make a decision on his position.
Yeah. I have the thing with R'lain marked, but I don't think we really need to talk about it.
I kind of have like something to ask you.
Okay.
Since this is a shorter chapter and all. What was your reaction when this happened for the first time?
Like Kaladin being asked to step down?
Kaladin being told that he's stepping down.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't really remember, to be honest. Like, I look at it now and I see it as like necessary.
Yeah.
Because he obviously just is mentally having a really hard time.
Right.
With everything relating to like what his job is, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember my initial reaction to it, to be so honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't have some things I have a memory of, but that one I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can tell you my reaction to it now.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God.
Yeah. He needed to.
Thank God somebody's telling him.
Yeah, because I think he would just go and go and go until he eventually got himself to a point where he froze in battle and it just was actually that killed him.
Yeah.
Like that was going to be it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Dalinar did the right thing, I think.
Oh, I 100% agree that Dalinar did the right thing. Of course, we learn Kaladin's decision later on what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that when that happens and all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very, very like heavy chapter and everything. Interaction between Kaladin and Dalinar, where they're like actively like butting heads, which we don't see too often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Kaladin like respects Dalinar enough to not really do that with him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Chapter 11?
Sure. Passion and courage.
Yes. Love this illustration.
I do too.
Of listeners, singers.
So cool.
They're very, very pretty.
They are.
Courage and passion. Venli meets with her crew and tells them a plan to hopefully escape the fused.
Yeah, I have a couple notes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Indeed, after drinking and being wrapped in her robes of luxury, this is talking about Leshwi, she sat down to be seen by the barber, who shaved her face after the manner of humans. She hated whiskers, even if the ones she grew were inhabiting a Malin body were soft and faint. The fused exerted some measure of will upon their forms. Skin patterns persisted, for example, and some grew carapace in individual patterns, knowing that you could easily distinguish the same fused across multiple incarnations. So I just think it's interesting that, like, obviously they just take anybody who's willing to, like, give them a body.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it was a guy. And so she's like, oh, I hate these whiskers, talking about, like, a beard.
Right.
And she gets them shaved. which is just, it's a very human
It
thing,
is.
which I like. It's kind of, it's humanizing Leshwi for us a little bit
Yes.
here.
It gets a lot of they get a lot of humanization in these chapters.
Mm-hmm.
We get a return of a character that we met in last book.
Who?
Yokska.
Yes.
Yes.
The
Who's Adolin's Taylor.
The Taylor, yeah.
Yeah.
So
she's still alive, which is good.
Yes.
She's living under the fused, which is probably not great.
Not great, but she's alive, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of this chapter, it says, long ago, Venli explained to Schumann, the singers were allies of the Spren. Then humans came and the wars started. The events of those days are lost to all but the fused. In the end, however, we know the Spren chose humans. Eventually, the humans betrayed them, killed them. Some Spren have chosen to give humans a second chance, but others... Well, I've been contacted by a Spren who represents an entire people in Shadesmar. They realize that perhaps we deserve a second chance more than humans do. What does that mean? Schumann asked. That we will not be completely without allies once we make our move, Venli said. Our ultimate goal is to find a place where we can escape other people's rules and their laws, a place where we can be what we wish and cast off the rules forced upon us. So this is Venli staging a resistance.
Yes.
Almost. Yeah.
And when she's like talking to them about like using her powers and everything, she says like, oh, this is like, these abilities are the powers that I get from my regal form and whatnot. And Timber gets mad at her.
Yes.
Yeah. It says Timber pulsed inside her, disapproving. The little Spren wanted Venli to tell the truth that she was radiant.
Yes.
So I really, it's so juicy what happens with Venli.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see more Venli in this book.
She's grown to be like one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Because of this reread.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
I'm pretty stuck in my ways over here. Yeah. So I definitely do like tend to like characters the more I read about them, but I still have my
I'm not saying
my faves.
No, yeah. I still have my faves, but like I mean, I don't know. I guess I paid attention to Venli, of course, because she is like a pretty important and major character.
Right. We haven't been dissecting her previously. Like we are definitely dissecting this time around. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, chapter 12.
A way to help.
Kaladin, depressed, is grabbed by Adolin and is taken out to a wine house. Kaladin talks to Shallan and learns about learns about Ialai's death. Rock comes to him and tells him it is time for him to go.
Why did you laugh at that?
Ialai is not what is in my phone right now. Autocorrect did its thing, and I'm not going to say what it says.
Is it inappropriate?
Yes.
Okay. I'm curious.
I'll show you later. Okay.
All right. So let's see what notes I have. I do like that when Kaladin's being all depressed, Syl disappears and then brings back Adolin.
Yep.
And he goes, Adolin? Your first thought was to get Adolin? And she says, I needed someone you couldn't intimidate. That list at best includes 3 people, and the queen was likely to transform you into a crystal goblet or something. Which I just love. But at the end of that, Kaladin does say thank you to Syl. So he knows that he needs it. I think we're like at a point with Kaladin and his mental health where it's like when you get diagnosed with something and then you're given coping skills or medication or something, to help just deal with your day-to-day life. I think Kaladin's in that phase of like, I know this is what's going on and I know now what is bad for me and what's good for me.
Yeah.
And so even though he really doesn't want to go do this, he knows it's the right thing to do for him. So I think we've reached that point of like what's the word?
Actualize.
Yeah. Self-actualization.
He's self-aware.
Yeah. But at least he now recognizes, like, this is a problem I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that if I wallow, it doesn't do me any good.
Yep.
So I like that we've reached that point with Kaladin.
Yeah. And this is the part that gets memed a lot in the Cosmere community.
Oh, Kaladin just being depressed all the time?
Well, that's always memed a lot. But the Kaladin and Adolin's relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Where Kaladin is just all gloomy and just, and then Adolin's there to...
He's like a little golden retriever.
Yeah, he's a himbo.
Yeah.
And I love him.
I love him too.
But yes, I think... I mean, it's so like just normal to just when you're feeling bad, like just want to wallow and be alone and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it really just takes that one friend to be like, hey, you want to go out? Let's go out.
Yeah.
And then you realize,
It's
like,
what you need.
Really needed this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I literally had this happen to me the other a few weeks ago, where I was just like, hey, you want to come trivia with us? I'm a buddy. And he was just like, sure, why not? And then he texted me a little bit later and he's like, I really like was in a weird headspace, but I, thank you for inviting me. This is actually like what I need to do and whatnot. So but everybody has those days.
Oh yeah,
I have
absolutely.
those days.
Yeah.
So
I have them too. So I get it.
Maybe that's why we get annoyed with Kaladin, because we see ourselves.
Oh, probably.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe that's why I get annoyed with Shalon, because I have 3 brains in my head.
I don't think she has 3 brains.
She has 3 whole brains in there.
3 whole brains.
Yeah. Just knocking around.
Yeah, I was about to say just rattling around in there.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Moving on. They're at the wine house.
Yeah.
And they're talking and they see this girl come in, and it's Dakna, and she's the daughter of one of Father's generals, and Adolin's like, oh, Kaladin, I'll set you up, And Vale is like, haven't you courted her? And Adolin's like, how'd you know? And she goes, Adolin, dear, swing a Herdazian in a crowded room and you'll hit 6 women you courted. And then she narrowed her eyes at the newcomer. Those aren't real, are they? She pads, right? And Adolin shook his head and she goes, seriously? Stormfather, to get mine that big, I'd have to eat 6 chulls. How do they feel? You're making assumptions, Adolin said. And she glared at him and then poked him in the shoulder. Come on. He turns his eyes toward the ceiling and pointedly took a drink, though he smiled as she poked him again. This is not a topic for gentlemen to discuss, he said with an airy tone. And Vale says, I'm neither gentle nor a man. I'm your wife. And he says, you're not my wife. And she says, I share a body with your wife. Close enough. Kaladin goes, you two have the strangest relationship. So this is like a me thing. I'm sure other people enjoy this as well. I like when we get kind of real world stuff in fantasy books.
Yeah.
And for Vale to be like, she pads, right? Like obviously talking about like her boobs. I'm like, what? Stop looking at me like that, Ryan.
Really?
Yes. I just think it's interesting that is even a thing in Alethi culture, to like, oh, you could pad to like make them look bigger and make them look better for the male gaze, whatever. I always just like those weird little tidbits, like the whole thing with like Adolin pooping in his shard plate. Yeah. It's just things you don't think about, but it just makes it more realistic, I guess. Like, I don't know, you kind of get pulled into the world and you're like, oh well, that's the thing.
They're just like me.
They're just like us.
I poop my pants all the time.
I also poop every time I have armor on.
I also stuff my bra.
Do you?
I don't wear a bra.
Oh. Why would you say that? No, I'm kidding. Okay, let's move on. This is a bad
bit. Out the window.
And then we do have a very sad scene at the end of this chapter.
Yeah.
Because Rock is leaving.
He is.
Kaladin says, will you return? If you can, after. Rock shook his head. This thing I have done here, with all of you, he is the end. When we meet again, I suspect it shall not be in this world, this life. Kaladin embraced his friend, one final, crushing Horn-Eater hug. When they pulled apart, Rock was crying but smiling. You gave me back my life, he said. Thank you for that, Kaladin, bridge leader. Do not be sad that I now choose to live that life. And he says, you go to imprisonment or worse. I go to the gods, Rock said. He held up his finger. There is one who lives here, one Afalaki. He is powerful god, but tricky. You should not have lost his flute. I don't think Wit is a god, Rock. He tapped Kaladin's head. Airsick as always. He grinned, bowing in a sweeping, deferential way Kaladin had never seen from him before. And then he retreated and left. Forever. I'm a little choked up over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rock is gone. He knows he's kind of going to face
judgment.
Yeah, judgment, trial for shooting the arrow because that was not his station in life. And yeah. So he literally says, next time I see you, we'll probably not be in this life. Which is really sad.
It is.
And then he also says, there is a god here.
Yes.
He's powerful but tricky. And talking about Wit. Kaladin's like, Wit is not a god. And Rock's like, yeah. You're sick as always.
Yep. It's a very touching moment. It's a very sad moment.
Yeah.
Because Rock and Teft were the ones that first started to help Kaladin in Bridge 4. They're like his longest friends from Bridge 4 are Rock and Teft.
Yep. I hate these books. I hate these books.
Him talking about Wit. We heard Rock talk about Wit before in The Way of Kings.
Yes.
With Sigzil. And so it's a good...
He's a god.
We
know for sure.
Yeah. And these books suck.
Yeah. We haven't even gotten to the worst of it yet.
No. All right. Chapter 13.
Another hunt.
Shallan goes to see her brothers and is surprised to find Mraize. Seeing this as a threat, she goes and meets with him. He says that he's getting impatient about Shallan's indecision on joining the Ghostbloods. He tells her a little about the notebook and gives her a job to find a man in Shadesmar.
Yep.
Yes.
I like that he tries to appeal to Shallan when he's talking to Vale, because he's talking about like a mole.
Yeah.
And they don't know the word mole.
A what? A rat?
Yeah. And he says, Shallan will find this interesting, Vale. Do you not want to ask for her sake? An invasive species from Shinovar slowly making a home in the mountains where Rosharan creatures cannot live. They lack the fur, the adaptations, you see. And says Shallan emerged as he said it, so she took a memory. So it's just interesting. He knows her dynamic like that. Like he knows her like and uncomfortably well. Like he knows her uncomfortably well.
Yeah.
I don't like that Mraize knows to get under her skin like that.
Yeah, well that's kind of like his
or
whole
into her skin
thing, right?
I mean it is, but I just don't like it. Hate him.
Yeah. I don't like Mraize.
I don't like hate him, but you know, I don't hate him as much as I hate like Moash. Yeah. Or Sadeas. But he makes me uncomfortable.
Oh yeah,
is the
for
best
sure.
way I'd describe it.
You said it. They're an invasive species from Shinovar slowly making a home in the mountains where Rosharan creatures cannot live. They lack the fur, the adaptations, you see? This is literally just talking about humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good little double entendre there. Is that right? Double entendre? Metaphor?
I think so.
I don't know. Man.
The next page is where Radiant's asking about Nolithis
Mhm.
Scadarial. What are they?
Scadarial.
And he says, Nalthus, Scadrial. He spoke the words with a different accent.
Mhm.
Where are they? That's an excellent question, Radiant. Suffice to say, they are places in Shadesmar where our Stormlight, so easily captured and transported, would be a valuable commodity.
Mm-hmm. We're learning more. So it seems that they really just want a way to move Stormlight, right?
Yeah, like as a good
Yes.
service.
Mm-hmm.
Goods and services.
That seems to be one of the Ghostblood's goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it can be very valuable.
It's so like transportable.
Yeah. And when asked about it more, he tells her this power is something we call investiture.
Mm-hmm.
Investiture manifests in many forms, tied to many places and many different gods. It is bound to a specific land, making it very difficult to transport. It resists. To try to carry it too far, and you'd find it increasingly difficult to move as if it became increasingly heavy. The same limitation restrains people who themselves are heavily invested. Radiant, Spren, anyone connected to Roshar is bound by these laws and cannot travel further than Ashen or Braze. You are imprisoned here, Radiant. And she says, a prison as large as 3 planets. Forgive me if I don't feel confined.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting that how that, like, you know you are invested to a certain point that you can't go further than these planets.
Yes.
Yes, and Braze is bad.
That's damnation.
That is damnation.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get a lot of good, like,
We got some like
good information here.
Yeah, some good lore dump. Just about Cosmere.
Yeah.
In general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We don't really have anything else. You kind of hit everything.
I'm just yapping. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. You're good.
All right, well, let's move on then to chapter 14. Voice.
Venli accompanies Leshwi to a meeting of the 9. Raboniel arrives and proposes to take the tower from the humans using this strange device. Venli is tasked with serving her, but will be reporting back to Leshwi. Mm-hmm. Ooh, The description of the 9 is very cool to me.
Yeah.
How they're all just like stuck in these pillars and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And they can get out whenever they want. They just choose not to.
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
That world's a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Raboniel is the spren, is the fuse that Leshwi was so nervous about.
Mm-hmm.
So curious to see what she gets up to.
Yeah. He's
a scholar, but not the kind you would wish to work beneath. We used to call her Lady of Pains until she decided she didn't like the title. She has always been fascinated by the tower and the connection between Radiants, their oaths, their spren, their surges. During the last return, she developed a disease intended to kill all humans on the planet. Near the end, it was discovered that the disease would likely kill many singers as well.
Yeah, she just made a plague, anyway. Low-key.
Yeah. The Lady of Pains?
Yeah.
That's tough, Wit.
Well, that's what, so it also says, Raboniel speaking, you've nearly perfected the suppression fabrials. Do not forget, it is technology I discovered from the tower itself thousands of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I have a plan to use it in a more dramatic way. As the sibling is essentially a dead eye, I should be able to turn the tower's defense against its owners.
What's she going to do?
Well, the sibling is a dead eye. She literally just said she's basically a dead eye.
Basically a dead eye.
Yeah. What in the world are my downstairs neighbors doing?
I don't know. There's a bunch of hooting and there's not even hooting and hollering. They're just like throwing stuff around.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't.
There's spaghetti everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know. Anyways, but yeah, so it's just interesting that they figured out the suppression from Urithiru itself.
Yeah.
It's a technology that she discovered.
Mm-hmm.
And also now we know that the sibling, which is the Spren in the tower,
Yes.
is a Deadeye, or quote unquote, basically a Deadeye.
Yeah.
A lot to think about.
A lot to think about.
Let's see. What did I mark
I
here?
don't have anything else really.
Oh, there's
Oh, the pursuer. With his whole thing, you get to learn his backstory.
yeah.
He's going after Kaladin. He really just wants to kill Kaladin because Kaladin killed him.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of his whole thing.
Yeah.
Um
He pursues.
Raboniel says they imprisoned. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what she's talking about. Let's see. She reached into the pocket of her robe and removed a gemstone glowing with stormlight. A shifting spren captured inside, a fabrial like the humans created. They imprisoned some of the unmade in these Leshwi, Raboniel said. How close do you think they are to discovering that they could do the same for us? Can you imagine it? Forever imprisoned in a gemstone, locked away, able to think but unable to ever break free. Raboniel says, one way or another, this is the final return. The humans will still soon discover how to imprison us. If not, well, the best of us who remain are but a few steps from madness. We must find a solution to this war. So, they can be trapped.
Yes.
In a fabrial.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
That is huge.
That's huge information.
They got to figure this thing out.
Yeah. Because like she said, they're also like all going crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways. I'm shaking my hands of it.
All right.
Done.
Chapter 15.
The light and the music.
Kaladin's new position is announced. He then goes to Rlain, who tells him that he would like a friend to choose him and not be told to. He goes and visits Zahel, wanting to join the Ardents, but he's told no after a cool fight.
We do get a cool world building thing here.
Oh, yes. Yes, we do.
The common field before Kaladin was adorned with the most uncommon sight. Enormous emeralds harvested from the hearts of chasm fiends, ensconced within short iron lampposts that were in turn bolted to the stone ground. The emeralds were so large and so full of stormlight that looking at one left spots in Kaladin's vision, though it was full daylight. Beside each lantern sat an ardent with a drum, softly banging a specific rhythm. This was the secret. People would have noticed if gemstone light made plants grow, but the mixture of the light and music changed something. Life spren, little green motes that bobbed in the air, spun around the drummers. The spren glowed brighter than usual, as if the light of the gemstones was infusing them, and they'd move off to the plants spinning around them. This drained the light, like using a fabrial did. Indeed, the gemstones would periodically crack, as also happened to fabrials. Somehow, the mixture of spren, music, and light created a kind of organic machine that sustained plants via stormlight. And it's Rlain who is walking among the stations checking the rhythms for accuracy.
Yeah.
So I just think that that's really cool that that's how...
The light and the music are the things that help the food grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
It is. I don't know. It's just like, because we know now that like the Rashar has its own rhythms and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to see like, oh, wait, this is how probably the Spren interacted with the singers in the past and all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's neat.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Next notes I have are towards the Xyle part of this chapter.
Yeah.
So if you have anything...
I really don't.
Okay.
I really don't. Just Rlain's interaction with Kaladin and everything, basically telling him that he doesn't want a Spren to be forced to bond him. He wants a Spren
to like actually want it.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
I will wait for a Spren who will bond me for who I am and the honor I represent.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want a friend to be forced into bonding with me either. Okay. So we get to Zahel and he's like, all right, you can't be an ardent. And then he's like, fight me in hand to hand, or not hand to hand, sword.
Yeah.
Sword fight me. And it says, Zahel was everything Kaladin's instincts told him to avoid. One learned to evaluate soldiers by the way they kept their uniforms. A neatly pressed coat would not win you a battle, but the man who took care to polish his buttons was often also the man who could hold a formation with precision. Soldiers with scraggly beards and ripped clothing tended to be the type who spent their evenings in drink rather than caring for their equipment. During the years of Sadeas and Dalinar dividing the war camps, these distinctions had become so stark they'd practically been banners. In the face of that, the way Zahel kept himself seemed deliberate. The Sword Master was among the best duelists Kaladin had ever seen and possessed a wisdom distinct from any other ardents or scholars. The only explanation was that Zahel dressed this way on purpose to give a misleading air. Zahel was a masterpiece painting intentionally hung on a splintered frame. So I really like that it's like he purposely keeps himself a little raggedy on purpose because he doesn't want people to know how powerful and like how good he really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that was a big yawn on this little kitty cat over here. What else you got?
Well, it's where Zahel kind of break something down for us.
Mm-hmm.
Type 1s, type 2s, all that.
Sure.
Yeah. Zahel says, you want to know what I am? Well, I'm a lot of things. Tired mostly. But I'm also a type 2 invested entity. Used to call myself a type 1. But I had to throw the whole scale out once I learned more. That's the trouble with science. It's never done. Always upending itself. Ruining perfect systems for the little inconvenience of them being wrong. I don't know what any of that meant, but thanks for replying. Wit never gives me answers, at least not straight ones. That's because Wit is an asshole, Zahel said. He fished in his robe pocket and pulled something out, a small stone in the shape of a curling shell. Ever seen one of these? Talking about a fossil.
Yeah, Lily was about to be like, and they explained fossilization to Kaladin.
Yeah, like, hey, this is a fossil. This thing's like older than like anybody that you probably met or ever will meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
I was going to talk about that, so I'm glad that you brought that up.
He said, my soul is like that fossil. Every part of my soul has been replaced with something new. Though it happened in a flash for me, the soul I have now resembles the one I was born with, but it's something else entirely. He says, I don't understand. I'm not surprised. Imagine it this way. You know how you can make an imprint in creme, then let it dry and fill the imprint with wax to create a copy of your original object? That happened to my soul. When I died, I was drenched in power, so when my soul escaped, it left a duplicate, a kind of fossil of a soul. Kaladin hesitated. You died? Zahel nodded. Happened to your friend, too, up in the prison. The one with that sword? Zeth. Not my friend. The heralds, too. When they died, they left an imprint behind, power that remembered being them. You see, the power wants to be alive. And he says, to Syl, she's now what I call a type 1 invested entity. I decided that had to be the proper way to refer to them. Power that came alive on its own.
Yep.
So
we're learning about a lot about investiture these last couple chapters.
Yeah.
With between Mraize and Zahel.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 16, I believe.
Chapter 16.
An unknown song.
Navani goes and talks to Zeth, who is currently locked away. Afterward, she goes and finds Gavilar. She's with her scientists, and they talk science. The mink meets up with her and Dalinar and asks to see the maps.
They talk science. Yeah, we talk a little science.
Yeah.
I have one note. Yeah, I have one note. What about you?
Yeah, I have something.
Okay, go for it.
It's just with Gav. The child was still far too small for his age, and the doctors weren't certain if something strange had been done to him during his time in Kholinar. Navani was furious at Aesidon for all that had happened there, but equally furious at herself. it's just really sad, I think, with a child
Yeah.
being treated that way. Obviously, we saw it last book and whatnot, but we're still seeing like there are ramifications
Yeah, absolutely.
to what has happened to him. But with this, he says, Graham, I want Grandpa to teach me the sword. Oh, I'm certain he can get to that eventually. See that cloud? It's so huge. Other boys my age learn the sword, don't they? They did in Alethkar, family, blah, blah, blah. And you don't need to worry about that. If I have a sword, nothing will be able to hurt me, and I'll be able to find the man who killed my father, and I could kill him. Navani felt the chill unrelated to the cold air. On one hand, it was a very Alethi thing to say. It broke her heart regardless. She hugged Gav tight. Don't worry about it. And I really just like that part because we see Gav being described as kind of like a very frail kid who is still very shy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was kind of like in shock for a while after his time in Kholinar.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing like this side of him come out. And I mean, it's kind of crazy to hear a kid say that he wants to kill somebody.
Yeah. Like a
well,
child.
but here's the thing. Kids say that stuff all the time.
And it's also like, it's very prominent in their culture.
Yes.
Like literally it's like, oh, boys my age learn the sword. So he knows.
And this is Navani is heartbroken too because this is her last connection to Elhokar.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't want anything to happen to him.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But it's a very heartwarming scene, and it's also very heartbreaking.
Yes.
As well.
I agree.
So, yeah. I really like that scene with them, and also just the whole Graham and Grandpa.
I know, it's so cute. And then like Uncle for Adolin can teach me the sword. So cute. The only thing I have is at the very end of this chapter.
Yeah.
When they are looking at the void light spear that Gavilar had.
Yes.
That was given to Szeth. And Navani asks, what do you see? And Nem says, practically flawless, clamping the spear in some small grips. This wasn't grown as a gem heart, I can tell you that. The structure would never align so perfectly. This spear is worth thousands, Brightness. It will probably hold Stormlight for months without leaking any out. Maybe years. Longer for Voidlight. And she says it was left in a cave for over 6 years and was glowing, or whatever you call that blackness, the same when it was retrieved. Quite strange indeed. What an odd spear, Brightness. That must be Voidlight, but it feels wrong. I mean, it's black violet like others I've seen, but the air warps around it. Yeah, that's it. How strange. And then they asked to keep it to study it. And yeah, but it's just interesting. They have this like pretty much flawless gemstone, and they're like, yeah, this thing will like hold this light for a long time, and it's worth like thousands.
Yeah. Which, from what we talked about in the chapter with Benley, Raboniel says that soon they'll learn how to capture us.
Yeah.
And I guarantee it's probably with these spheres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe do you think
because it's a flawless gemstone?
Yeah. So do you think like Dalinar said like there's not going to be 10, there's only going to be 9? Do you think it's because he knows that one of them is like trapped in a spear?
Well, the 10 orders, I always just kind of put 9 as like Odium's number.
The 9 shadows. Yeah. I don't know
either. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
But that's a good theory.
I don't know. I just thought about it just now. So I was like, oh, well, maybe it's because like there's another trapped in that. Yeah. That spear that Navani has. I don't know.
Who knows?
Raffo, I guess.
Raffo. This thing with the mink at the end. The mink watched the exchange with a smile. Reminds me of my own son and his wife. I should hope, Dalinar said. they are a little less frivolous. They're dead in the war, the mink said softly. I'm sorry, Dalinar said. The Everstorm and Odium have cost us all much. Not that war, Blackthorn. The mink gave him a look laden with implication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not awesome.
Not awesome,
Not
no.
awesome, Dalinar.
Mm-mm.
That's a old Blackthorn over there.
Old Blackthorn. All right.
Chapter 17, A Proposal.
Dalinar and Shallan do their cool map thing. The mink reveals his strategic genius. The heralds join the group along with Yasna and Wit. And due to the mink's arguments, Dalinar accepts that he has to let Alethkar go for now.
I marked something. Oh, it's when they learn about Braze.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ash tells them. The binding, Yasna is saying, the binding that made you immortal and trapped the Voidbringers in another realm of reality. And Ash says, Braze isn't another realm of reality, it's a planet. You can see it in the sky, along with Ashen, the Tranquiline Halls, you call it. But yeah, the Oath Pact, he did that. We all simply went along with it. And Yasna said, but the Oath Pact no longer functions. And Ash says, it's broken, done, shattered, upended. They killed my father a year ago, permanently somehow. Talking about Jezrien.
Mm-hmm.
We all felt it. She looked at Navani as if having seen the reverence in her eyes. The next words came with a sneer. We can do nothing for you now. There is no more Oath Pact. And so they're just trying to figure out how to seal the enemy away, is what this whole conversation is about. But that's the first time that they, like, our main cast and crew here finds out that Braze isn't just another, like, realm, or, like, it's not like heaven.
It's a planet. It's a real place.
Yeah. So I just think that's, like, we've obviously talked about it quite a few times in this episode, but that's the first time, like, our main cast learns, like, oh, damnation, I can, like, see in the night sky.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, honestly.
Yeah.
It's being, like, called, like, hell is a real place. You can go there.
Yeah.
Like, physically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I really didn't have any notes for this.
That's okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry about it. We can go ahead and move on.
Oh, the whole thing with Taravangian that they talk about in here, actually. I didn't, like, really note anything down, but I found it interesting.
Uh-huh.
Where
she just came out of the room and stretched. Like, she took several steps of stretching. Welcome back, lady.
Hello.
All right.
The whole thing where he's just like, oh, he's kind of getting the mink.
Yeah.
Is getting this idea that, oh, something's up with Taravangian, and he's like, oh, you don't trust him, do you? And they're just like, not in particular, no.
Yeah.
They think that he is serving the enemy, which he is, but they don't know that.
Right.
So, yeah. I just thought that now they know, like, they have their suspicions about him officially, like, working with Odium.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Chapter 18.
Surgeon.
Kaladin meets with his family at the Shattered Plains and ushers them to their new home at Urithiru. Lirin is disheartened, thinking his job is obsolete, but Kaladin informs him that's far from the truth and that he will be joining him again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got mixed emotions?
No. I thought I was going to cough for a second. That's why I kind of leaned away a weird way for a second. Yeah, I think it's, I mean, obviously Kaladin is the one that, you know, set all this up for his parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really sweet.
Yeah.
And I also, like, I totally understand, like, where Lirin is coming from and being like, oh, obviously, like, what I do now is obsolete. Like, I would probably also feel that way if I were him. I'm like, oh, well, these people exist now and they can just touch you and they're healed. Like, there's nothing I need to do at this point. And then Kaladin's like, no, there's still so much you can do. And, like, it's so few and far between the amount of people that can do that. And, like, they're mostly used for battlefields. Like, people still have, like, the flu and, like, everyday sickness. Like, we still need doctors and surgeons and, you know, and so I think that's nice. And just like the way that these rooms are described and kind of like this little suite that Kaladin has set up for them with like a nursery and then like there's like a surgery room and then their bedroom and it has like a really nice view. And they're obviously in these rooms that are made for like higher ranking people. And Kaladin is like using his rank to do that for his parents. And I just think it's really nice because like I know they kind of have a weird relationship, but he still cares.
The actual like scene where it I have like kind of the whole thing marked. I'm not going to read it all. But just where Syl says like, "Oh, here's a nursery for the baby. I picked out all the toys."
Yeah.
And the description of the surgery room and it's all these fine instruments. It's basically everything Liren would have ever wanted.
Yeah.
And Kaladin like is looking at him. He's like, he hates it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And Liren, you feel really bad for Liren in this moment because he does. Because I would think that too.
Yeah.
There's no use for it.
But this is also the first time they talk about there's like new medicine that Kaladin had stocked that Liren had never seen because, you know, it came from Teravangian's physicians. And he said, you'll have to have Mother read to you about what these new medications like. What they are and what they do, they're discovering like some really remarkable things in Karbrov.
Discover like vaccines.
Yes. Yeah. They literally like have created vaccinations. And so it's really cool. And then, like you do feel really bad for Liren for a second. And then Kaladin's like, no, like we still need you and I want to do this with you.
Yes.
Like I was supposed to.
And you get this moment at the end where it's really bittersweet. It's really, really bittersweet. And Kaladin says, I'm going to be leaving the military. I need a break from the fighting, and Dalinar commanded it. So I thought maybe I could take the room beside Oridon's. I might need to find something different to do with my life. Asina raised her hand to her lips again. Liren stopped dead, going pale, as if he'd seen a Voidbringer. Then his face burst with the widest grin Kaladin had ever seen on him. He strode over and seized Kaladin by the arms. That's what this is about, isn't it? The surgery room, the supplies, the talk of the clinic. You've realized it. You finally understand that I've been right. You're going to become a surgeon, like we always dreamed. And then a little ways down, it says, yes, Kaladin said, you're right. You've always been right, Father. I guess it's time to continue my training. Kaladin sets, like, what he actually feels aside because he knows it will make his dad happy and all.
Yeah.
But you also feel happy for Liren in this moment, too.
Right, because this is what he's always wanted for Kaladin.
And he's finally getting his son back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, very bittersweet. But also, like, you should probably tell your dad how you feel.
Yeah.
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 Well, anyway, who cares? Chapter 19.
Garnets. Yeah.
Do you have anything else for chapter 18?
Go ahead.
All right. Chapter 19. Garnets. Navani goes and does some more science stuff. Later at the meeting of monarchs, she runs into Teravangian, who has dropped the facade completely. Shallan volunteers to go on the Shadesmar expedition with Adolin.
I only have 2 notes in this chapter.
Go on then.
So some more talk about metals, actually.
Oh, okay.
The secret to making the 4th bridge fly and to making this handheld device work involved a rare metal called aluminum. It was what the fuse used for weapons that could block shard blades, but the metal didn't just interfere with shard blades, it interfered with all kinds of Stormlight mechanics. Interactions with it during the expedition into Amia earlier in the year had led Navani to order experiments, and Gavilar himself had made this breakthrough. And they're kind of creating essentially like an elevator fabrial thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we saw the aluminum in the scan read when Huio was messing with it.
Just was screwing around.
And Dawn Shard, ended up, creating this way for Risen and that book to move around. And now we're kind of using it to kind of create an elevator here.
Yeah.
But yeah, aluminum.
Aluminum.
Yeah.
Yes. Bringing it back to Mistborn, aluminum can't be interacted with by people who use allomancy.
Yeah.
So it seems like aluminum is a metal that just
Shuts everything down. Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll get like an answer as to why.
I feel like we will eventually, or maybe it's just one of those things.
It might just be one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't get an answer, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yep. But it is cool.
It is. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah. I do have one more note.
You go right ahead.
Okay. And this is when they're talking to Taravangian.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. She realizes that she's scared of Taravangian. You know, she said this man had fooled the smartest people in the world. He had conned his way into Dalinar's inner circle. He had played them for fools, all while seizing the throne of Yakaved. Everyone had praised him. That was true danger. She forced herself to not shy away as he leaned in close. He didn't seem to intend the maneuver to be threatening. He was shorter than she was, and had no physical presence with which to impose. Instead, he spoke softly. Everything I've done was in the name of protecting humankind. Every step I've taken, every ploy I've devised, every pain I've suffered, it was all done to protect our future. I could point out that your own husbands, both of them, committed crimes that far outweigh mine. I ordered the murder of a handful of tyrants, but I burned no cities. Yes, the light eyes of Yakaved turned on one another and once their king was dead, but I did not force them. Those deaths are not my burden. All of this immaterial, however, because I would have burned villages to prevent what was coming. I would have sent the Vadens into chaos. No matter the cost, I would have paid it. Know this. If humankind survives the new storm, it will be because the actions I took. I stand by them. Taravangian freaks me out.
Taravangian, like that was the big note that I had was Taravangian realizes, oh, I've been caught.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not making excuses.
No.
He's fully like,
he's like, yeah, I did all these things.
Yeah.
He's
and I do it
up,
again.
Yeah. And he's like, if we survive, it's because of what I did.
Yeah.
It is nothing that you have done.
He's gone like, he's already been full villain, but it's like he's an open villain at this point.
Openly, yeah.
And I love that he's just done this flip. Like, no more pretending.
Mm-hmm.
No more, oh, I'm just an old man. Oh, I'm so silly. Ooh. And he's like, nah, you guys would be dead without me. And I will do whatever it takes to protect my people.
Yeah. And we know that from his interaction with Odium at the end of the last book, was that when that was? Yeah. That he literally only can protect
the people of Kerbrant.
Yeah. That's all he can protect. He cannot protect anyone else on the Rashar.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Whit, what did you think of part 1?
I liked it. I think we're getting a good setup for a lot of things here.
Yes.
Because we kind of have Venli going into rebel mode.
Mm-hmm.
We know we're about to have this expedition into Shadesmar now.
Yeah.
Let's see, like, what else?
We get a lot of answers to things. We get a lot of like, not just like Stormlight lore drop. We get a lot of like Cosmere lore drop and everything.
Yeah.
And I find that very interesting. I love that it comes from Zahel.
Yeah. And Maraise.
And Maraise.
Yeah.
2 characters one we definitely know isn't from this planet.
Yes.
Mraize, maybe, is not from here. Maybe. I don't know.
I was like, I know, but I don't think we can talk about it.
I genuinely don't know. So,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. I think it's just very, very good exposition that we didn't necessarily need,
Yeah.
but I felt like we did in like grand scheme of things, you know?
We will get into the later parts of this book and we will have needed
Yeah.
what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's still good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this was a great part one. Actually really shocked at how much I enjoyed this.
Mm-hmm.
I always like thought this was probably my least favorite Stormlight book.
Mm-hmm.
Shocked at how much I just loved part one of this. I thought how it starts off with Lyran
Mm-hmm.
perspective, get Kaladin, and then we just have like a fight
Immediately, like out the gate. Yeah.
that lasts for a few chapters. And it's very well paced. It's not just like constantly fighting. And that's also helped with Shallan and like her trio like infiltrating the Sons of Honor and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's very well like paced as a whole for part one. And I really liked that because the more that I thought about it,
Mm-hmm.
you brought it up. The pacing with Oathbringer did kind of get to me a little bit.
Still my favorite book. It just is paced kind of awkwardly.
Yeah, it is. And it really comes down to just part 4 for me. I'm just not really a big fan of part 4 of Oathbringer.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I think the first half. But yeah.
Yeah.
Good book.
Good book. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I'm excited to. So what Ryan and I usually do, and I'm sure that if you watch the audio of these episodes, you can tell
The video.
Yes, whoopsies. If you watch the audio, if you watch the videos of these, we typically will record like 2 episodes in a day, so that way we can kind of backlog, and it one gives us more time to read, but also gives us like, you know, we've had times happen where we've had to skip a week because work and
Life.
circumstances, and you know, and so that means that we probably only have 2 more recording sessions before we're done with this book.
Probably.
Which is crazy.
Yes.
I
prefer when we don't backlog personally, but
because we read so much in like a week's time span.
Yes, it's a lot.
I think we might have to boogie through this book a little since I'm going out of town.
Oh yeah, when do you go out of town?
The week before Thanksgiving.
We'll
so
boogie
the
through this
3rd
book.
week in November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So we might be boogieing through this one. And then
you guys won't. We will.
We will. You guys get the episodes one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sit at my computer and cry while I edit. That is what happened during part 5 of Oathbringer. I texted Ryan. I was like, God, I'm tearing up again. Like I already cried so much in this last episode. I'm crying again now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's an episode that I forgot to do the timestamps on, and I can't remember which one, but there will be timestamps on an episode of Oathbringer soon. I promise.
It happens.
If you're already here, you probably don't care.
Yeah.
But that's me owning up to, hey, I forgot, and I still forgot to do it.
That's okay. We'll get there eventually. We're doing the best we can with what we've got. So, I think we'll do a small yap and then call it a day.
Yeah. So if you don't like us when we yap, well, then just get out of here.
And thanks for listening.
And thanks for listening. Do all of the pleasantries. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, send us a postcard.
Leave us a rating.
Give us a rating and review.
And we'll see you next time for part 2 of Rhythm of War.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. So you're on book 6.
I am on book 6 of Dungeon Crawler Carl.
How's that going for you?
I have not had this much fun reading a book in so long.
That's awesome.
It just, I won't say they keep getting better. They're staying like the same amount of quality for the most part, which has really been nice. And we just get more character like background, but it's not like heavy stuff. There's like heavy stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm ever going to cry during these books. It's just like, oh man, that sucks. Anyway, funny talking cat.
That's great.
Yeah. I love these books. Matt Dinneman, you write a good book, my friend. You write a really good book. Book 7, I think, comes out this month. The audiobook doesn't come out until like February 2025, so it'll be a minute for me, but I might cave and like try and just read it.
Yeah.
Just like if I find myself like, oh, I'm missing out on the hype and everything.
Yeah.
I would love to do a Carl cosplay for Dragon Con next year.
That'd be dope.
I think that would be really fun. It would be pretty good because it'd be during Dragon Con in August, early September, where it's really, really hot, and he wears heart boxers.
Oh, stop. That's so good.
Yeah.
You should do it.
I think I will.
Do it.
It's not just heart boxers. He wears like other clothes and everything. The only thing is he doesn't have shoes on.
Sandals?
I'll probably wear pink Crocs.
There you go.
Because that's what he wears at the very beginning of the first book.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Been really, really enjoying this series. You are on the third book of you're still on the second?
So, yeah. So
okay.
I read a lot this last week.
Yeah.
I read Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Haw, which is the first book in the Farseer trilogy. First book out of the whole, I think it's called Realm of the Elderlings.
Yeah.
It's like 16 books.
Saga.
Yeah. Elderling Saga. I believe that's what it's called. So if I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me. That book starts really slow. And then at the end, it's just like
straight gas.
Yeah. Yeah. All gas, no brakes. And then from what I've heard, people say that the books after that are better and also worse because the end of that book kind of messed me up emotionally.
Oh, okay.
And so they're like, yeah, it gets better because like, you know, the pacing is better in those books, whatever. Because I mean, it's, you know, fantasy, there is a lot of setup, you know, with magic systems and whatever. And the magic systems are very, at least in the first book, it's low fantasy. I've heard it gets higher fantasy as it goes. But there's a lot of setup and I really like our main character. And then like, yeah, I've just heard it gets more emotionally taxing as the series goes on, but the books are really good. And so I'm like, oh God. So yeah, I finished that. And then I went to go, like I finished that book like late at night and I was like, oh man, I want the other book so bad. I'm going to go order it on Amazon. Went to Amazon. They only had it in hardcover. And I really have an issue if I'm buying a series, if they are different formats, like I need them all to look similar. So it's either I need to buy all the mass market paperbacks or I need to have whatever paperbacks are available or they have to all be hardcover.
Right.
And I have not the mass market, but just like the other paperback.
It's like the bigger paperback. Yeah.
And so they were sold out on Amazon until like mid-November. And I was like, just the second book. And I was like, I can't wait that long.
Yeah.
I was like, this book has me in a chokehold. And so I waited till the next morning and then I went on Barnes and Noble's website to see if like there's like 2 or 3 that are pretty close to me. Like it's not like an egregious drive.
Yeah.
And none of them had it.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, like the closest ones that had it were like 20, 30 miles away. And I was like, I'm not driving 30 miles to go get a book.
Yeah.
Like I will figure this out. And so I started calling every like local bookstore in Atlanta and was like, hey, I'm looking for this book. Do you have it? And they'd be like, no, we can order it for you, but like, we don't have it here. So I called like 5 or 6 bookstores and nobody had it. And so eventually I called the one that's closest to me, and I buy from them a lot. So I was like, hey, like I called earlier, can you order this for me? And so yeah, and it took like 2-3 days to come in. It wasn't that bad.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, for a second, I was like, I'm never gonna be able to read the second book.
Yeah.
So now I have it. But while I was waiting for it to come in, I read Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll.
Okay.
Which is it was a book that Lexi Newly Nova recommended. Yeah. She like really highly recommended it. I put it on my TBR. I don't remember what that book was about. I remember being a thriller, and I was like, that's fine. I like to read thrillers between my fantasy stuff. And so when I saw it at the store, I was like, I'm just gonna go pick it up and buy it, because like I remember her saying she liked it, and I was like, I'll read this. So I started that. It is a fictionalized retelling of the Ted Bundy story.
Whoa.
And I was not expecting that when I picked up that book at all. Because like I'm sure that when I watched her talk about it, she said that's what it was. And I was like, that sounds interesting. I'll add it, to my TBR. But it's been so long since I have like watched her talk about it versus when I bought it in store to when I started reading it.
Was it good?
It was so good. Yeah, because it's like it really focuses more on like the women involved, and it is like fictionalized, but like there's some really dynamic character relationships, and they never refer to him as Ted Bundy. He's only ever called the defendant in the book. Right. And like, mind you, I didn't even realize it was Ted Bundy. Like I was reading the book and she was like, I'm in a sorority and I go to Florida State University and it's the 80s and like, I think it's like the 70s, like late 70s. And then like it starts and like her sorority sisters get murdered. And I'm like, is this about Ted Bundy? Like reading it. And I'm like, what? Like then I like looked it up and of course it was. And I was like, oh my, how did I miss that? Anyways, but yeah, the book was great. There's like really good character dynamics. It does touch on like what it's like, how women were treated in that time period, because like obviously now if something like that were to happen, it would be taken a lot more seriously, but because it was like this 20-year-old sorority girl, like nobody took her seriously, like not even the courtroom when they had evidence on this guy that he murdered these people. He was still just, and like I'm sure you've seen stuff about Bundy, he was just such a star to everybody. Oh yeah. And so you see the way that like he's treated versus how she is treated during the trial. And then there's also this other character who was like a psychiatrist, and her friend, we find out later, like romantic partner, also was murdered by Bundy. Like she was part of like the Lake Sammamish part of that whole thing. And so that like psychiatrist comes and meets Pamela, who's the sorority girl, and they like kind of get together. So, and then you also see how like queerness was perceived in the 70s, because like literally like one of the people in the book is like sent to a psychiatric hospital for like being a lesbian. Yeah. And all this stuff. So like there's a lot of like themes in it that are so good, and I think the author just does like insanely well. I like that was like a 4.5 star read for me.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it was really good.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, if you want to borrow it or you want to get on Audible, whatever, like let me know. But like I loved that book. Yeah. Definitely for a specific group of people. Yeah. But it was so good. And I started Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne.
I've also started that.
Have you?
A while ago, yeah.
Yeah. I've been listening to the audiobook when I've been at work, and then if I come home and I'm reading the book.
I stopped reading that because of this podcast.
Really?
Yes.
Oops.
I was like, I can't read another epic fantasy right now.
Yeah, I was also at that point, but then like now that I'm like on TikTok and like all my book talk friends like love Robin Hobb, love John Gwynne, love Fonda Lee. I'm like, I need to read all these things now. Like I feel like I need to be involved. And like I like this whole last year I was like, I don't want to read any fantasy. Like I just burnt myself out on it. And so I was scared when I picked up Assassin's Apprentice, because I was like, I haven't read fantasy outside of Sanderson in so long. Yeah. But I'm good. We're good now. So
Shadow of the Gods is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like from the part that I got to, I remember really enjoying it.
It's pretty good so far.
I really enjoy the setting of the world and everything.
It's like very Norse mythology style.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Everybody seems big. And I think that's why I like it. You know what I mean? Everybody seems like, oh, they could crush me with their pinky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand what you mean.
Yeah.
I do have an issue with like, I think I have like mild dyslexia or something, but or maybe this is just a brain thing. I don't want to say I have dyslexia. One of the main characters is named Orca.
Yes.
And every time I read it in the book, I read Okra, and I'm like, this is not her name. And I just feel like a
dunce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good word for it. But yeah, that's what, I don't know. I just really went ham on the books this last week.
You really did.
I don't know how. I genuinely don't. Good for me.
Good for you. Yeah. You're better than me.
Yeah, so now I know at work this week I am going to listen to the audiobook of this.
Yeah.
Rhythm of War, but will be worth it.
Yes. Work going good?
Oh yeah. We're just kind of getting prepped to go to Miami now in a couple weeks, which is exciting. I will have a lot of time to read while I'm down there.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I need to finish Rhythm of War so then I can read other things. Because then once this is done, until I have Wind and Truth in my hands, I'm free.
Yeah.
So I'll be free for like 2 weeks and then I'm back. So
yeah, we're not going to start immediately like on Wind and Truth. Wind and Truth will probably happen.
It will happen as it happens.
Year. I would say in January.
Oh, you want to take a break for like the holidays?
Well, we have the holidays and everything, and I don't know about you. I'm going to be pretty busy. But also and it's a brand new book.
I know I'm going to devour that thing in like a week's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know myself.
Yeah.
And like, especially like you're going to have the audiobook. So I'm going to be logged into that Audible and I'm going to be sitting there.
I'll have both this time, Whitney.
Yeah. Well, we have both this time as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
We'll play it by ear. Yeah.
If we get really crazy around the holidays, we'll just do Wind and Truth at the beginning of next year. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. And we'll just keep you guys updated on that with like community notes.
Because remember the Christmas noobs come out and they're going to be wanting to listen to some stuff. About
Christmas noobs.
Yeah, Christmas. I'm thinking of like, I don't know, Christmas noobs in Call of Duty when all the kids got their copy of Call of Duty on Christmas or whatever. Any game really that had multiplayer back in the day.
You think people are going to get like Stormlight books for Christmas?
100% people are going to get Stormlight books for Christmas. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no.
But I also feel like if we do Wind and Truth right away.
Oh, you want to be a part of the zeitgeist.
I want to be a part of the zeitgeist. But also if we are not able to, then like it is what it is.
We will do our best.
Yeah. We will see where the wind takes us. And the truth.
Yes. And Knights of Wind and Truth.
This is so bad.
No, it's not. We're doing good. We are podcasting. We are talking and we're
professional.
Yes.
I think I'm ready to keep reading this book now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm ready to keep reading this book too. Give me a second.
Do you have something else to say?
Nope. Gotta think of a question.
Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe I have a question.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Tell me your favorite album.
It's The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance.
Your favorite album of all time is Black Parade?
Yes.
Okay.
If you look...
This is not me judging you. This was me trying to think what my favorite album was.
I will say, if you look at my probably top 10 albums, you will see that I really like rock operas.
That's so funny to me. But also it tracks in my brain.
Mm-hmm. 3 of my top favorite albums. Well, one's not really. One's like a concept album, but it's like a. Yeah.
What album?
So my number 1's The Black Parade. My number 2's The Wall
by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 5 or 6 is Songs for the Dead, which is a concept album by Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you like Dream Theater?
No, I've never listened.
Okay. I think that's the band I'm thinking of. I think that they do concept albums. It might not.
I'm a big fan of concept albums.
Coheed and Cambria, you ever listen to them? They do concept albums.
Oh, I've only listened to their first album.
Yeah.
It's really long.
Yeah, they do concept albums, I'm pretty sure. I've never been a Coheed fan, but I have a lot of friends who are.
Obviously, I've listened to King Gizzard.
Yeah.
Their like second album is like a Western album. And it's all like spoken word and everything.
That sounds like something I would hate.
Dog, you give it a shot.
I'll give it a shot. I'll give anything a shot.
It's called Eyes Like the Sky.
Okay. Yeah, you sent me some album to listen to.
I sent you A Laughing Death in Meat Space by Tropical Fudge Storm.
Yes. I tried to listen to that in the car on my way home from Greenville for my work trip. I did not like it.
You didn't like it?
No, I didn't. There was like elements that I liked, but I tried. I got like 4 songs into the album and I was like, this is not for me. But I tried.
I appreciate you trying.
I'll try anything once.
Why? Can I ask you, why did you not like it? So I know later on what to recommend to you.
I'd have to listen to at least the first song again to tell you what I didn't like about it. Because I remember out the gate, I was like, I don't know if this is for me.
Yeah. So, there was a part of me that I figured you probably wouldn't like it.
I mean, I like music and I will literally listen to anything at least one time, give it a try. There's something else. Oh my God. I don't remember. Yeah, I couldn't tell you why I didn't like that album, like off from now. But like if we had talked immediately after I listened to it, I would have been able to give you a better thing.
You heard it here first, folks. She hates Australia.
That's not what I said at all.
She hates Melbourne.
Well, I did see a really freaky video the other day of this girl that was like sleeping and then she woke up next to a giant spider because she lives in Australia.
Most definitely, yeah.
And I was like, I had a thought where I was like, maybe Australia's not a place I need to go.
Australia's got some freaky guys. They got like camel spiders.
They got a lot of freaky guys.
They got drop bears. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a fan of spiders, but not when they're the size of my face. I think I'd be a little afraid. And that girl was way too calm about it. And I know it's because she lives in Australia, so she deals with it. But I was like, if I woke up and that thing was staring at me, I would have set my house on fire.
Yeah.
Respect. If you live in Australia, you're stronger than me.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, tell us your favorite album.
Yeah, tell us your favorite album. What's your favorite album? Did you say?
No, I didn't. I'm trying to think. Like,
name some.
One of my favorite.
If you can't think of just one.
One of them's a canceled band.
Oh, it's a canceled band? A canceled band, Whitney?
Yes.
Whitney, if you get this podcast canceled because you like a canceled band.
Look, everyone I have talked to, everyone that I know likes this band is like, yeah, man, that it really sucks. But they unfortunately wrote some of the best emo music of the early 2000s.
Oh.
The album is The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me by Brand New.
Okay, yeah.
Every single album by them is good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Jesse Lacey is a horrible person.
Mm-hmm.
But I have been listening to those albums since I was like 15.
Yeah.
And I did do the thing for a while where I was like, I won't listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I got older, I was like, you can separate the art from the artist, you know?
Dude.
To a certain degree. It depends. I don't think it depends. I don't know.
I get it because as a person who I have not done like a top 50 in years.
It'd be hard to do it and not find an artist on there that has not had some sort of controversy.
Because I could tell you, I probably had like 3 Kanye albums on there.
Yeah.
Like,
I would probably have like 3 brand new albums on mine.
Like The Life of Pablo, I used to. I don't know, because like my music taste has kind of changed a little bit, but that was easily like one of my favorite albums.
Yeah.
And even Queens of the Stone Age, like Josh Homme, like he's like the lead singer.
Yeah.
He has allegations against him.
Yeah.
Like of just being a bad guy. But
yeah. I'm pretty sure I don't know. One of my other favorite albums is Koino Yokon
I don't know
by
that one.
Deftones.
Oh, okay. I've only listened to like 3 of their records.
You should listen to that one. That's
I think
their
it's the
best
first
one.
3 records.
You should listen to that one. It's the best one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Somewhere City by Origami Angels, one of my favorite records of all time.
It's also one. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Anything Greyhaven has put out.
God, you do love that band.
I love that band.
I think one of the
so
first
hard.
interactions like I ever had with you, you were telling me like, yeah, I'm going to go see Greyhaven. I had just seen Greyhaven.
They are actually in town next week.
Oh yeah.
With like 4 bands that I could care less about, and I'm really considering going. Couldn't care less about.
Yeah.
I am considering going just to see Greyhaven.
Yeah.
Like I might text Carson and be like, "Hey, are you going to see Greyhaven next week? And can you plus Munwee? Because like I don't want to pay prices of the headliner band because they're a huge band.
Yeah.
But I want to be in there for 20 minutes while Greyhaven plays and I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel. I bet I bet Brent would probably guess me if I texted him, but
where's it at?
Masquerade in heaven. So it's like I think it's the Devil.
Masquerade is probably my favorite venue.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like a hot take to say at all.
No, they're a decent venue. I just know their ethics and morals, and it's where I have problems with them.
I think
because I used
to
do booking. So
I think it's my favorite venue just because that's the one that I've been to the most, and that's where all like some of my favorite people go.
Yeah,
is that to the Masquerade?
It's easy.
It's so easy.
Yeah. I may be there tonight. Maybe. I was just there 2 days ago.
Yeah. I won't be there, unfortunately, because I have to go home and eat the hamburger.
You said, sorry, I can't come see your band. I have to go eat a hamburger.
I'm hungry. I've been eating dinner.
I know. That's what I was like thinking when we were like doing the podcast, and I was like, what am I going to make for dinner tonight?
Pasta. I
was thinking that.
I know.
Get out of my head.
Come on.
Get out of my head.
Yeah, I'm a little worm in your head. That's a Dungeon Crawler Call reference.
Oh, nice.
They have brain worms.
Maybe the MS Paint album, Post American, that would maybe be on mine.
That was like one of my favorites from last year.
Yeah, that was, I think that was my album of the year last year, was Post American by MS Paint.
They have a song that was a heavy inspiration for a D&D character I made.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's wrap up so we can both go eat.
Yeah. Let us know your favorite album.
Yeah, or a couple. If you don't have a favorite, give us your like top 3 in no particular order, even. And if it's brand new, it's okay. I accept you. Okay, we're gonna go now. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Our like most listened to countries last week was everywhere but America, and that was pretty cool.
That's pretty crazy.
So we really appreciate all
Switzerland?
of our... Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say the town name.
I think it's Schwiz. Oh.
Is it Schweiz?
Sure.
Or Schwiz?
I was going to say Schwiz.
You're going to say Schwiz?
That's definitely not right.
Let us know if it's Schwiz or Schweiz.
Yeah, let us know. But yeah, we really appreciate all of our international listeners. You guys are so cool.
That's a part of the world that I really want to go. First off, never been to Europe anyway. Would love to go to Europe, but that whole region, pretty cool.
I have a friend from Sweden, so I was like, I'm coming to see you, and I'm staying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all the pleasantries, like, subscribe, leave a comment of your favorite album or just something to do with the podcast episode. This is your homework. I will be grading. Give us, I think I said give us a rating already. I can't remember. But yeah, thank you as always for listening to the Listenercast. And we'll see you next week for part 2.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.